Hey friends, and welcome back to Sewing from Scratch. In this video, we're going to be talking about global slow fashion awareness. This is episode 3, and we're specifically touching on what to watch for when you're shopping for fabric or for clothing, either online or in person. If you're interested in supporting slow fashion and a fashion revolution on the globe. So if this is important to you, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and I will catch you in the next video. So you're going to notice here that what you're hearing is not matching up with what you're seeing on the screen in terms of my lips and my hand gestures. So my new microphone, I'm not happy with it. It just like cuts out randomly, and it did not work for pretty much this entire video. So I'm just going to do a voiceover and reiterate what I have already filmed, because I'm not able to actually do a full filming session. So let's just pretend that what you're seeing is actually what I'm saying. All right, so the biggest thing that I want to mention when we're shopping for clothing or fabric and we're worrying about ethical and sustainable fashion is that not all things are created equal. So when we go to a website or into a store and we're asking questions and doing some research to see to see what kind of practices those companies partake in, we need to go in with an open mind and kind of take everything with a grain of salt. So what I want to get at with that is, you might go to the About page on a website and it might say on there that all their garments and all their items are made in factories that are held to the highest standards of the country that the garments or items are produced in. Now, if we're in, say, North America, Canada, or the United States, the labor laws are pretty good here. Of course, there's always room for improvement, but they're pretty good. If we go to other countries, there's maybe no labor laws, no labor standards at all, or they're very, very low. So maybe this company that you're looking at is producing items from one of those countries, and yeah, sure, they're upholding those standards that the country has set out, but those standards are terribly low, and maybe those workers are being treated really poorly. So just because it's saying that they're following standards and labor laws doesn't mean that those labor laws are awesome. So just remember that and take it with a grain of salt. Maybe look into the countries where these factories are. And let's just remember too that just because a factory is located in China or Bangladesh or Turkey or Ethiopia doesn't necessarily mean that it is awful and that the people who work there are treated poorly. There are factories in North America, in the United States, and in Canada that are not good either, and that are really shoddy and the people are not being treated properly like they are supposed to be, like every human deserves to be. So just keep that in mind, that just because a tag says one of those countries that we kind of typically shy away from doesn't mean that that's actually how the people were treated. So we just need to be doing our research on that. When you are looking for sustainable and ethically made clothing or other fabric or garments or shoes or any other type of items, you might want to look for actual certifications. So there are certifications for fair trade, there's certifications for sustainability and organic practices, and I'll leave some links in the description below to a lot of things, especially where you can find out more about these certifications. There's certain groups of people or boards who go through the different companies who apply, and they rate them, and if they pass all the necessary qualifications, then they can be certified. So that might be fair trade certified, and in some cases the groups of people are actually made up by farmers and industry workers themselves, so they do have a say in what's going on, which I think is absolutely fantastic, wonderful, and I want to see absolutely more of that going forward. So if you see that certification, that's kind of like a blanket cover that you know that that company has been vetted and you know that they are upholding that certification, and it's definitely a big feather in their hat to have something like that on their website. Now, a little while ago, I stumbled across website through the Sustainable Lifestyle podcast, and it's called ecostylist.com. And this is a website where they kind of do the research for you. So instead of you going and checking out every single brand that you're thinking of purchasing from, they have their own rigorous set of guidelines that they follow for adding companies or brands to their list. So what happens is a brand can apply, and then they go through this very extensive process to see if they fit in with what EcoStylist believes in. They have over 50 different retailers on their website. You can check them out. They are phenomenal. They are from all over the world, and they're just doing some really, really awesome things, some great initiatives on there. And EcoStylist has kind of already done the research part for you, so you can rest assured knowing that these companies have already been vetted by EcoStylist and their rigorous program, and they actually have information on their website about what their program entails too, so you can check that out. Of course, they'll be linked in the description box below. The website is targeted to men, but most of the brands on there offer more than just menswear, so I would say definitely check it out for anybody. And Christmas is coming up, so if you're looking for shopping, then don't hesitate to purchase from those brands. I will say you're going to maybe have some sticker shock if you're not used to purchasing ethical clothing or other items. And just remember that when you purchase something cheap, like say a $20 pair of shoes from a big box store, that $20 to you comes at a higher cost to the workers in the factories who are making them. And another thing you might look for certifications, like I kind of mentioned, is sustainability and organic certifications. Now, we see this a lot in fabric, and if you know that a company that you like to shop from, like a fabric company, is concerned about things like this, then you know that you're going to be getting a product that is sustainable and potentially organic. So companies like Blackbird Fabrics or Simplify Fabrics are two that I really like to shop at, because I know that they are concerned with the environment and they are concerned with how people are treated, and they definitely look into that and demand that of their own suppliers. So those are two good places to start if you're looking at purchasing sustainable or organic fabric. Simplify especially likes to carry organic fabrics. Now, another thing you might be looking for in terms of fabric or clothing is purchasing dead stock or thrift fabric. And I have a whole video on dead stock, so I will definitely link that below. It's a really good one if you don't know what dead stock fabric is. Thrifted fabric or secondhand fabric that you get other places other than the thrift store are great too. And thrifting also leads me into clothing. Of course, I love thrifting everything. I have stopped purchasing clothing just because I have so much fabric to sew through, but there are times where we need something from the thrift store, and I highly recommend buying from the thrift store, for shoes and anything you need. Let's not produce more waste, and let's use what's already made on this planet rather than going and purchasing something that a big box store has made in anticipation of selling, and then, creating more to meet the demands that they think is there. If you're not into thrifting, because I know not everyone is, you might have a mental block about it, and that is fine, although I do encourage you to try it. That you might want to look at liquidation shops or outlet stores, and this is a great way to find things that are maybe not totally in season or exactly trendy, but they can still be high quality if you're purchasing from a really good brand that you love. And it's a way to reduce waste, because all of that stuff would be thrown to the landfill or incinerator anyway. If you don't have an outlet mall or a liquidation center nearby, because I know I don't, on a lot of websites, clothing websites, they'll have sale or clearance sections where you can check out, and those are also things that would probably just be getting thrown out if they're not purchased. Another online thing I want to mention is ThredUp. I am not sponsored by any means, but ThredUp and Poshmark are two great places to shop for secondhand clothing and accessories online. Another thing I want to talk about, what to look for when you're shopping, is trendy versus on trend. So if you're purchasing something that is trendy, that, you know, there's a trend right now. Let's say tie-dye, for example, is a big trend. So you purchase this tie-dye and then you know that in a season or two, you're not going to wear it anymore. That becomes a waste. That becomes a wasted garment and huge environmental impact if you only plan to wear it for a short time. So maybe instead of buying a garment that is tie-dyed, maybe you can take something you already own or from a thrift store and tie-dye it yourself. And then, you know, you're still on trend, but you're not really creating any more waste, and you might find that you can upcycle it in the future, you know, make a pillow out of it or make something for your animals or a doll for your child. So that's one way. Or you can try and find on-trend pieces, things that are more staple items but are going to last throughout seasons and throughout different trends. And the last thing I want to talk about when we're talking about what to look for when shopping for fabric or for clothing is small batch versus mass production. Now, typically when we go to the store, like a big box store, all of those garments there are mass produced. You know, they make them in the thousands and they send them out to all of their retail suppliers and they sell them. They're made in a big factory because one sewist or a few sewists couldn't possibly keep up. Now, when we're talking small batch, we're talking about something that is maybe made by one sewist and made in multiple, so they're still making more than one, but it's a smaller batch, so maybe they're only making 100 instead of 10,000. And the reason I like to support small batch production is just because you kind of, you feel like you're supporting a dream and somebody's actual, like it's more hits more close to home. And you can kind of follow that brand along until they do get big enough where they need to potentially hire out to a factory. And that's not a bad thing, that there are some wonderful factories in this world. And I hope that they get used more and more than the shoddy ones. So that doesn't mean that when they get to that point that we stop supporting them. It just means that we follow them all this way and we know that they're a good company, and now that they do have to subcontract some of their makes out to the factory world, factory workers, sewing workers, then we just know where they started, where they come from, and we can be proud to say that we helped them get to that point. And we know that they're going to support factories that are upholding high standards of labor laws. And I just want to mention Buttercream Clothing because I have personally met Candace and I do think she is a wonderful human, and she's a great example of starting small and small batch, and she really does still do small batch, but even though that some of their items are made in a factory, and she does subcontract some of that out, and she also has wonderful individual sewists who sew out of their home and make her small batch garments as well. And I just want to say that there is nothing wrong with that. She is finding factories that the garment workers are treated properly. It's healthy, clean facilities and ergonomically friendly, and all of the things that garment workers and any human should have in their everyday working life. So I guess the bottom line and the biggest thing I want to drive home here is just research, and make sure we're voting with our dollar. Your money isn't just your money. Your money is your vote, and we really want to make sure that we're voting, what we vote for is aligning with our values and what we want to see going forward on the earth. And shopping sustainable and shopping eco-friendly and ethical, it shouldn't be a choice. It should really just be the way things are. And if we do create a slow fashion movement or, you know, a fashion revolution, then it won't be a choice. It will be the only way. And I think that is kind of the bigger picture and the biggest goal we can really hope to achieve by reducing fast fashion purchases and really just not allowing that to have any impact on us. Yeah, you can still follow the trends, you can still follow the runways. There are some great sustainable fashion brands, high-end fashion brands that are doing amazing things in the sustainability world, and I don't think that will ever change. Fashion doesn't have to be wasteful. I think that's what we really need to drive home when we are shopping for things as well. So if you're in a store, just ask those questions. Ask the questions of the people who you see, or speak to a manager, and they may not know the answer, but you're planting a seed there that they might think about that next time they go shopping too. So like I said, it's just important to vote with our dollar to things that align with our own personal values, and then maybe we will create a fashion revolution here on this wonderful planet we call home. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button and giving this video a thumbs up if you love sustainable fashion. I will catch you in the next video. Bye!